Welcome to another collective conversation. I'm your host, Mike Brewer, and today I'm joined by Graham Duprey from Tour 24. Graham, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Mike.
Yeah, definitely. I understand, great, because you told me so, that this is your very first podcast. Is that true?
Yes, this will be number one, take one.
I love it.
So
No, that's exciting. I have done this a little over 2,000 times now. But I'm still learning a lot. So no worries. We'll learn a little bit together today and have some fun doing it. So why don't you start by telling our audience, we have both people who listen on podcasts. We also do a YouTube version of this, but tell them a little bit about yourself and then toss in some Tour 24 information if you'd like.
Totally, yeah. So I'm Graham Duprey. I'm the Senior Business Development Rep at Tour 24. We're based in Boston, and I actually grew up in Boston in Medfield, right by Patriots Place in Foxborough. And Tour 24, I've been here for 2 years after graduating from Arizona State. So came back to the East Coast. They couldn't get rid of me. And yeah, I've been at Tour 24 ever since. So really my multifamily career has taken place in the self-guided touring space at Tour 24.
Excellent. So I have to ask, since you're from Boston, are you like a Patriots fan and a Red Sox fan and all of the local sports teams that tend to dominate all of professional sport?
I wish I could say yes.
Oh no!
I know.
We promise not to broadcast in Boston after this.
Yeah. I never really got into sports. I love playing them. I played baseball and football in high school, but I never got into watching it. Both of my parents are artists, so that didn't really
Got it.
weren't necessarily for football.
Well, I got to tell you, for personal preference, I have probably a better appreciation for art than I do sports, even though I played sports myself. But so anyway, that is awesome. Thanks for being candid about that. So let's talk about maybe Tour 24. I like to sort of dig into some things personally and professionally, but what has been your most rewarding maybe story? You could tell a story about your most rewarding time or event that's happened at Tour 24 since you've been there.
Yeah, so with the company, I would say it's growing with people, and since I started, we've added on a whole C-suite. So a bunch of industry leaders that have come in, and really that's reshaped everything that we do. It's really allowed us to grow and change our product in ways that will benefit our clients. For me personally, yeah, it's like I said, 2 years, and I started in the customer support side. So I was a customer support representative slash generalist, and that was really what I did. Was a lot of it was kind of waiting to answer the phones. So while I was waiting, being in the Medfield office, I had a lot of people that were, well, hey Graham, are you bored? Can you help me? And so I kind of learned all the ins and outs of the different departments and stuff through that. And was ultimately after college able to then go on and we started the business development department. So that was kind of the most rewarding for me was being able to, early development within the company, and then actually being able to help launch a whole new department and see that grow and really thrive over the past year.
Well, that's awesome. Congratulations to you. I want to key off of something you said as it relates to your C-suite being built out and some of the people that are there today. It sounds like they've had a great influence on your career, maybe your life. Do you want to speak to that for a moment?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we got to start with Georgiana Oliver, who is our chief executive officer and founder. And people in the multi-family space tend to know her.
That's
She,
right.
yeah, she actually started out in politics and then switched over to property management with RealPage. She worked at RealPage and then started a company, Evergreen Solutions, and then sold that. Went on to start Package Concierge, which is the smart package locker systems, and then to Tour 24. And how I know Georgiana is growing up in Medfield. She lives in Medfield as well. And I was good friends with her son. So always had her kind of as my main business mentor and mentor professionally. Kind of, yeah, really the opportunities that I've had today have really been from her. And she is the type of person that is her main goal in life is to help others. And I think that that really shows throughout the rest of the company with, I'm early 20s coming in with little experience and just being accepted by this group of people that are like icons, right? I mean, people 10, 20 years in the industry just killing it. And yeah, so Georgiana I would say would be my main mentor just professionally. And then we recently added Andy Larson, who came from Happy Co. And he's a he's a big into the business development side of things. So he's been really huge on helping us grow things out, and seeing how he operates and works has been really really huge, helping me kind of grow in my position and bringing everybody to that next level.
So I'm curious, just this is my own curiosity. Someone your age, 20, 22, 23 years old, you're making observation of these icons in the industry. And I'm just wondering from your perspective, are you making observations of the way they behave in the world, and or is it like direct narrative and things that they say to you, or is it a combination of the two?
A total combination of the two, right? Because there's the internal people that are helping me, but then there's also the external, right? Like
Yeah.
all these podcasts and like yourself, people that share their knowledge. And I think that's a huge resource for people just starting out like me, where you don't have to be in the room with somebody to learn what they're thinking, and like you said, yeah, how they portray themselves and personality types. I think, go back, I when I first started, I definitely overthought a lot of things, and I would go into things, kind of a little like my life really started surrounding work. And
Mhm.
one of our directors of sales, I actually in Atlanta was able to sit down and have just a really cool conversation with him, talking about how he does that separating work life balance, not letting a bad month be a bad month at home, right? And
Right.
if you have a bad demo call, it's not the end of the world. And so yeah, just having people that to kind of be like, hey, I've seen this before. What you're going through is normal. Here's what I've done, and really just showing the way up in this industry and kind of just in life in general.
So if you were to narrow down, sorry I'm spending so much time on this, but it's just fascinating to me,
Yeah.
especially I'm 30 years older than you, and so it's like I look at it like what do I wish I would have known at that time, right? In my life, because I know it now, or I know some things now. Anyway, I'm interested for that. So if you were to sort of narrow all the things that you've learned from different mentors or things that you've made observation of from people who've been in the industry a long time, what is the sort of the biggest lesson you've taken away, either personally or professionally, that you intend to say every day I'm using this as a mantra for myself to move forward in the business or in life in general?
Yeah, that's a good one. To your point of what would I have wanted to know back, my grandpa had a saying: if I knew then what I know now, I'd be a rich man.
That's right.
So
That's right.
I could only tell myself, right, 10 years ago
Right.
that, hey, you should be doing this. But back to the question. Sorry.
Not to worry whatsoever. It's a hard question, but it's I'm just interested. And if we can circle back to this in a minute, we can move on, then come back. But I am going to force you to answer the question. As a
Can
host, I get to do that.
could you repeat it just one more time? I kind of went up.
Yeah, I'm just interested in like making observation of all these icons in the industry. If you could sort of narrow it down to one piece of life advice or business advice, life that you're going to advice rather that you're going to make application of. I'm just interested.
100%. Yeah. The rising tide lifts all ships. That's kind
Unpack
of
that a
been my
little.
thing lately. Is if you're the only one succeeding, the company's not succeeding, right? And
Ah,
if you can't learn to raise other people around you, you'll never raise yourself, right? And I think that was a big part of growing the business development department was figuring out, how do we get everybody on board, and how do we, because you'll always have people succeeding, but I think to then kind of shift to that more leadership perspective and say, hey, how do I help everybody else maybe get to where I am, or see where I want to go, and have that same big goal. So yeah, I think that's probably been the main part, is being less selfish and more of a team player, and kind of saying, hey, how can I help everybody else in the ways that maybe I've helped myself. And what that's done for me is allow me to say, hey, maybe the things that I'm doing aren't what I'm telling other people to do, right? Like
Ah,
maybe what I'm telling myself is, why is it different than what I'm telling other people to do, or the advice I'm giving others? And your best ideas or thoughts usually come when you're helping somebody else figure it out, right?
that's right. That's right. Well, Graham, I tell you, I think I have a sneaky suspicion that advice that your grandpa or that you had gleaned from him is going to
Mhm.
come true for you if you keep exercising that as a mantra in your life.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Okay, let's switch back to Tour 24 for a second. What do you think? What do you think is the most misunderstood thing about Tour 24, or what Tour 24 does in the industry?
Yeah, that's a good question. So oftentimes, like, the first thing that I thought of was, we're not virtual. We're not virtual tours. So we are on site, and I think that's kind of something that everybody as an industry as a whole is kind of coming around to understand, is virtual and self-guided are two totally different things.
Yeah.
And then in addition, it's self-guided tours. It doesn't mean get rid of your leasing team and get rid of your current, ways of doing things. What we really strive for is more of, how can we work in addition to and make the lives of your on-site staff, your current residents, better through self-guided tours.
I like that. It's what I hear you saying in that is like, if we can give time back to our team members, meaning leasing consultants or assistant managers or property managers, then and we can make this little piece of a consumer's experience a little more in alignment with the way that they are getting used to doing business because of big behemoths in the world, big technology companies in the world.
Mhm.
We all win, right? That's what it sounds like. That's what I hear you saying. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah. So I think, it's interesting to me. I've been on a sort of a soapbox for, let's say, 10 years, that at some point I'd like for all technology to really, I love technology and I want technology to be in our ecosystem, but I want to leverage that technology to disappear all things in the office, to include like taking computers off the desk, right?
Yeah,
And it doesn't mean you don't still have a, maybe an interactive television on the wall or whatever, where you can demonstrate things, but all of this other stuff can be DIY or behind the scenes. And it sounds like Tour 24 is a sort of a plug and play thing that could allow that to happen on the leasing side.
absolutely. Yeah, it's the idea of like leasing centralization has been like a real big topic. And I think we enable that centralization to happen, right? Where the
Yeah.
tour is a vital part of the leasing life cycle, and that's why we've really focused. We are a self guided tour company. That's what we do. We don't create locks. We work to integrate with what you're currently using at your property to allow residents an easier time of ultimately signing a lease at your property.
Mhm.
I just signed on a place in Boston, and ironically, it was the first place that we toured, right? And I think that that's kind of something that's happening now, is people know where they want to live. People
Mhm.
do their research. They have the, whether it's Matterport going through, and they have the 3D tours and the all of that stuff. They know before they go, and it's basically, you go and tour the community to make sure that it looks like the pictures.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're ready to lease, and really it's the first person to say, hey, yeah, you can do it, we'll make it really easy for you, that's ultimately going to get that lease.
So I'm super curious, just based on your experience in going through leasing an apartment. Did you find, let's take the actual, was it facilitated by Tour 24, or did it have that?
No, nope.
Okay.
It's a very small community that I
Okay.
signed on, but
Did you find, this is my own curiosity, did you find searching for an apartment to be a cumbersome process or a fairly easy process? Just curious.
Cumbersome.
No, it's
I mean,
great.
I also it's what I'm learning more and more about this industry is it's market to market, right? So
Yeah,
I'm in Boston.
that's fair.
Boston is horrible to find. I mean, you're going through a broker and there's all these fees, and it's basically, yeah, if you don't apply to lease immediately after your tour, you're not going to get the place. Like they got three people that have already applied by the time you step foot through the door.
I got it.
As far as the search, I think it's all over the place, right? So there's a ton of different ILSs and tools to go to actually find the property. Uh,
Yeah.
but what we've found, and I've done, a lot of research nationally on property websites and looking for, how would I schedule a tour here? And it is very difficult. Oftentimes it's an email, right? So you send an email to the on-site team and they get back to you. And like I said, we scheduled a tour. The next day we were touring the property, and that day we signed the lease. So if you schedule that tour for 5 days out, you might lose that renter's interest or availability, right?
Right.
It's a first kind of becoming more first come first serve, and then we're also at a time, I think, when renters want that to happen immediately, right? We're very self service. We don't necessarily want somebody hearing what we think about the unit, or maybe we don't even want to go on the whole tour, and tour 24 allows that to happen as well. So if you don't want to go see the fitness center, if that's not of interest, you don't have to, and you don't have to feel pressured to sit through that whole tour. So
Yeah, it's I love that. And I am a personally an introvert and like an extreme introvert, and I really have sort of this. I just don't like salespeople. Not people as people, but just the whole sales sort of deal. And I much prefer to do things on my own. Even if I'm going to a store and somebody walks up to me and asks me if I need help, I'm like, no, I don't need help. Just
yeah.
like, I'm the grumpy old guy. I'll figure it out. Right. But I like that. And I think, it's interesting. I think the world is, I read this one time, like 50% introvert, 50% extrovert. And then there's sort of this middle ground that's like an ambivert, I think, that can play in both worlds. But, but both sides of that equation, there are people who just like to do things on their own. And to the extent we can facilitate that, you're sort of winning for your business. It sounds like that's what Tour 24 does.
and and at the same time, you still want to control that prospect's journey, right?
Fair
You
state.
we're not just opening the door for them, right? There is still that sales process, and we're not saying, that, oh, like that touring process isn't important. It's very important, and we want to make sure that you get that consistent message every single time that you take a Tour 24 self-guided tour, as if you are being guided through by, the best leasing agent on the best day every single time, and yeah, still maintaining that sales process without the pressures that come from a sales process.
Yeah, exactly. I took the time to watch the 2-minute video on your website for I think it's hosted on Vimeo, but and
Mhm.
to your point, why don't you sort of walk us through kind of Reader's Digest version, but hey, here's from the time somebody engages with Tour 24, just walk us through the highlights of what happens from inception to actual lease signing.
Yeah. So we embed ourselves into that search process. So whether it's from the website or through on-site signage and materials, marketing materials, we want to anybody that sees your property is going to see that link to schedule a tour through us. On site, we have it. We'll do the on site example, and we actually over 30% of our tours are happening within 15 minutes of scheduling. So this is a lot of tours that are happening in this way, where a prospect will go to the community. We have a QR code in the leasing office window or outside of the property. They scan that code, and it takes them to our registration page, which is where we take that guest card information, transfer all of that along to your CRM property management system. And then the prospect will get a, depending on the access, and this is a big part of Tour 24, is every community is going to be different, right?
Right.
And that's really what we want to be able to, whether or not you have, a rusty old brass key or the new smart lock, we want to be able to work with that. So we'll use an example of just a key or a fob. They would get a code for a Tour 24 smart lockbox, which can be mounted outside of, or on a door or on the wall, wherever is best. And that code will only work to open that lockbox for the duration of your tour. So it's typically like a 40-minute, 45-minute tour. And that smart lock will say, okay, during this time, Graham Duprey can get in with this code. And through our app, it will display the code, give them messaging ahead of time. So just a reminder of your tour today at 4 o'clock. And then once they actually get into the unit or the property, we have a full audio visual tour built out by one of our onboarding managers, from our client success side, as well as your on-site staff. Anything that they know the property better than anybody.
Sure.
So they build out that whole tour path with the audio, with the visual. We have the ability to pop up banners that say, "Hey, we can rent this space," or when they walk into the model unit, it'll come up with something. We have a limited time deal on, no broker's fee, or something like that,
Yeah.
or no first month. So the whole tour, we kind of try to keep it as interactive as possible, so that you still do have that sales process that is valuable.
So I'm curious there. So is that sort of proximity or sensor induced if those banners that pop up? So if I walk into a fitness center, is there something in the fitness center that causes that
Yeah, so
pop up?
we used geolocation beacons
Understood.
that actually track people around the property, which also lets us know, when they leave, when they,
Yeah.
or all that information gets pushed then to your systems. So then in follow up, right? Say they don't sign a lease immediately after the tour. In follow up, your leasing team can see, oh, they spent a lot of time in the fitness center, right? That
Yeah.
must be, or they skipped the pool altogether. They don't care about that. I'm going to go in and I'm going to do my follow up based on what they did on their tour, how
Yeah.
they answered. Oh, they do have a pet, and I know that their pet's name is Brody, and I can then go in and say, hey, are you and Brody going to be moving in soon? And really kind of still have that relationship with your prospective residents, while still having the benefits of increased efficiency and an ability to spend your time focusing on the existing residents and everything that comes with that.
Yeah, I think you're totally right in saying that there's just a wide open horizon of things that you could employ. I mean, you could, who knows, you could get your business way off the rails really quickly if you listen to everything like that comes in the door and try to incorporate it. But it's
Right. Well, it's
there's
why it's why there's what 2,200 prop tech companies right now. It's endless, and I think I am new, but I've heard a lot about, we are slower to adapt to a lot of these technologies, where, when you think self-service, you can name a dozen industries that have been doing that for as long as I can remember, right? So I think we're kind of realizing, oh wow, there's huge benefit to this, and it can really change the way that we do things and better the way that we do things.
yeah, I agree with you. I think there are a ton of prop tech companies, and it's interesting. I've loved technology almost the entire time I've been in this business, and the stories I could tell you about how we used to do property management would just blow your mind. You probably heard some of them, but
Oh, yeah.
it's where we have come and the rapid pace of change. Even though it has been slow in the multifamily industry, I think in the last 3 years, plus or minus, there's been a groundswell that's actually like causing a wave, and it's actually accelerating the pace of change in our industry. And
Mhm.
we're adopting technologies at a better pace. And there are technologies like yours that are actually facilitating part of the consumer experience in a better way. who knows, the next 36 months in this business are going to be mind blowing. At least in this guy's opinion, they're going to be mind
Yeah.
blowing. Well,
It's
oh,
rapidly changing, right? I mean, I've it goes from right because I started 2021, so you're looking at everybody's building, everybody's acquisitions and transactions were top of mind, and I think this next year, from what it seems, is kind of going to go more towards operational and how do we manage these portfolios that we grew so rapidly in the past few years.
yeah, I think you're right to say that, and certainly the pressures that rising interest rates are putting on properties and their ability to operate, especially from a cost perspective, because rents aren't growing at 30% clips anymore. They're
Yeah.
moderating, they're still growing, but they're not at the pace they used to be. So it's put a real squeeze on the
Mhm.
cost management side of our business. So yeah, we're adapting. This is my fourth business cycle, so I've seen a lot of adaptation over the years.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting. Okay, so I want to bring us to a close, but I want to ask you a few sort of really off the wall questions. These are sort of rapid fire at the end of the interview. I'd like to ask just some rapid fire questions. So, and then I want to give you an opportunity to highlight Tour 24, where people can find more information, and then yourself. But let's do the questions first, if you're open to it. And if there's something you want to pass on, you can. Okay, so here's the first one. If you could have dinner with anyone, historical, whether they are alive or past, who would it be, and why would you want to have dinner with that person?
Really good one. I would say it's got to be an author. I would say, jeez, that's a tough one. From multifamily, or
It can be
it can be
anyone. Yeah, any historical figure or even somebody really close to home. It can be anyone.
Mike Wolber. No.
I love it.
I'd love to sit down with him. I know it sounds crazy, but yeah. From multifamily, I would say Mike, and then from the world, jeez, I listened to a podcast, the Ed Milet Show, and I think it would be very cool to sit down with him. He's the founder of the World Financial Group, and yeah, he has on kind of a similar podcast to this, where it's really just open conversations. And I've followed him for a while. He kind of brought me into the that podcast world. It was really the first one I listened to, and have been listening ever since.
Very cool. Well, I happen to know Mike Wahlberg, and Mike Wahlberg has a podcast.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pitch Mike on bringing you onto a show. that'll be that'll be fun. All right. Oh, okay. So, uh, okay. Tell us about a hidden talent that you have that most people don't have, or that don't know you have it.
Well, I'm a second degree black belt.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
I was when I was a kid. So back to sports and me not doing sports. I was always kind of in this like secondary or non competitive sports. So yeah, I'm a second degree black belt in kung fu, and I was the youngest to do so at my dojo or studio.
Oh my! All right, right on.
Yeah, not many people know that.
That is awesome. Note to self. um, so you mentioned. I'm going to go back to the last question. You mentioned that it would probably be an author. Does that mean you're a reader? You like books? Who's your favorite author?
Oh, another hard one. I'm pretty terrible with names of authors, but my favorite book, and the book that brought me into being an avid reader, was The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Uh,
That just really resonated with me. My dad gave it to me probably my senior year of college, and I guess it had been a book that meant a lot to him, and kind of changed his perspective on a lot of things. But yeah, dealing with day to day life, I think that was really one of the top books for me. And then it's just spiraled into every book I see on, and now on LinkedIn, I'll find more, and I'll go easily on Amazon, just buy it. And so, yeah, I would say for the past 2 years, I've really been into books and reading. And now that I'm, out of college, I realized I'm going to have to, make these classes on my own, right? Nobody's forcing me to learn anymore. I might as well figure out how to do it on my own. And that's really been able to help me kind of. It's interesting because I was never into reading before I started working, really. And I think that it was because I didn't have, that outlet of working and real life to kind of relate it to. And now I'm reading books. I'm like, oh, I kind of just dealt with that last week, right? Like that. Oh, I am doing that wrong. Like, so I think, yeah, hearing other people's experiences for me is just, that's kind of been the top thing that's helped me in the early years of my career.
I love that. So I'm going to ask you what you're reading right now, and then I'll let you end cap by telling us about where people can find more about Tour
Yeah.
24 and yourself. But what are you reading right now?
Right now, and again, don't know the author, but it's a book called Burn the Boats. And it's the subtitle is Throw Plan B Overboard. And basically, if you give yourself that out, you're going to take it, right? Kind of just, yeah, going all in on what you're doing and not having that plan B to fall back on.
Excellent. So burn the boats. I'll figure out the author. We'll put it in
Yeah.
the show notes. I might even give a copy away, and I'll let you have the credit for that. But anyway, tell us where people can find out more about Tour 24, and then certainly in cap where people can contact you.
Totally. So Tour 24, our website, tour24.io. We have Dorota, our new VP of marketing, or newish, close to a year now, but we revamped the whole website. It's unbelievable. We have kind of all of our different, depending on your position, you can go in and say, okay, what does this mean for operations? What does this mean for marketing? And then if you're interested in learning more, myself, anyone from the business development department would love to, get you on a demo. We have a link to request a demo on that website. So that I would say, be the best way to get in touch with Tour 24. And then me, I email or LinkedIn. I'm big on LinkedIn. I haven't ventured into posting my own stuff really much yet. I'm really a reposter and a follower.
That works.
I love LinkedIn. I'm on it all the time. So my LinkedIn is just Graham Duprey.
Excellent. Well, we will put that in the show notes as well. I'm gonna reach out to Mike Wahlberg and see if I can get the two of you hooked up. Seriously, I like to make that come true for you. Okay, well, Graham, it's been a pleasure. I really appreciate you playing ball here, or kung fuing with me a little bit, with some verbal judo. I'm probably mixing sports up, but anyway,
My coworkers are gonna love that.
excellent. But it's been a pleasure. I appreciate you investing a little bit of your time with us here at the Multifamily Collective.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me on.
All right, you're welcome. And for everybody else, we'll see you next time on Collective Conversations.